In this video, I wanted to go over what's in my camera bag, and the difference between this video and a typical photographer, filmmaker video for what's in my camera bag is that my interests primarily lie in astrophotography. Now, tomorrow my wife and I are heading to St. Lucia in the Caribbean for 1 week. It's essentially a new sky for me. Being at my latitude here in Ontario, Canada, as we travel down south, the constellations get higher and new deep sky objects emerge. That's one of the most exciting things about traveling down south. Let's get to it. I want to show you what's in my camera bag, what I'm bringing on for this trip, because obviously you can't bring everything. You can't bring something like this with you on an airplane. So I want to show you what I did choose to bring on this very special trip. Okay, let's get right into it. First of all, the bag itself is called the Peak Design Everyday Backpack 20 liter. It's got this nice hard shell on it, really nice material. Ashley got this for me for a Christmas present this year, so I'm excited to try it out for the first time. We'll see how it holds up as my carry-on bag on an airplane with all my precious gear inside, but so far so good. I love the design and everything feels really secure. Well, let's take a look at the lenses that I've chosen to bring on this trip. And this is a very important decision to make when you're traveling. Which glass are you going to bring? Which type of photography or filming are you going to be doing? That will dictate the types of lenses that you bring. This lens has been just absolutely incredible over the last 6 months. It's the Rokinon 135mm prime lens f2. It's kind of that mid-range telephoto 135mm. The big reason I'm choosing this over, say, the Red Cat telescope, it would be nice to get a little more focal length, shoot at 250, but this lens is just so small, so compact. It's just a great fit for the type of photography I want to do on this trip, and I'll show you the exact targets that I'll be shooting a little later in the video. So the Rokinon f2 135, just an affordable, practical, versatile little lens, and fits nicely in the bag, I might add. Next up is another Rokinon lens with the Canon EF mount. This is the Rokinon 14mm f2.8, so another fast prime lens. This one's ultra wide angle though, so it's a bit of a plasticky, dinky lens. They're very cheap, but they actually are surprisingly do a great job for wide field stuff. So for starscapes and Milky Way shots, you can't beat this prime ultra wide angle lens. I couldn't help but bring it. I always like to bring an ultra wide angle lens with me whenever traveling. Landscape photography in general with a wide angle is just so much fun. Here you'll see the adapter and ball head for the Skywatcher Star Adventurer. That's my camera tracker, my astrophotography tracking mount that I can conveniently fit in this bag. So I'll just put this back in here for now. You can kind of see it poking out. And before I forget, in this little side pouch zipper area, I did bring a light pollution filter. As you'll see a little later on in the video, there is some local light pollution from the Bright Resort we're staying on. So I'm thinking that the L Pro might be good for blocking out some of that as I'm shooting over the Atlantic Ocean. Just bring it just in case, fits inside the camera body. That's in there, we'll zip this back up. This is where you'll see some of my filming stuff, Rode video, shotgun mic. Believe it or not, there's a lot that goes on to the production of these videos, even if you can't tell with the audio and the lighting. Again, for audio, my lav mic is in here. And here's a cool, really cool little item that's brand new. We got this here just for this trip, and it's the GoPro Hero 7 Black. It can shoot 4K at 60 frames per second, I think even 120 frames per second. Big upgrade from our old GoPro we had. We had like the original or like Series 2. So it'll be a lot of fun to use this, waterproof. Obviously at a tropical location, a GoPro can be a lot of fun. So hopefully you see some footage in my video from the resort that was taken on the GoPro. Next up, we have the remote shutter release cable. This is something very easy to forget to bring on your trip, but this is going to automate my series of exposures, my long exposure images that I take of the night sky. Then we have arguably the most important in the entire bag, the Skywatcher Star Adventurer camera tracker. So this runs on AA batteries. It tracks the motion of the night sky. It needs to be polar aligned, but after that you flick it on to star celestial tracking mode, sidereal rate, and Bob's your uncle. You can take long exposure images without star trailing, so super important. And look how compact that is, right? This is my carry-on bag. No giant mount like this one, but does the same thing on a smaller scale. Next we have, okay, this is the Alt-Az base for the mount. So it slides on here, and then I can set my latitude accordingly for the 14 degrees north. And then on the other side, we've got my DSLR cameras. Now I'm bringing two DSLRs. One is the EOS 60DA, just a great little astrophotography camera with a flip out screen. So much fun. Because it is sensitive to H-alpha, I can take some really cool nebula images from the resort, attach lenses to it. Great astrophotography camera, obviously runs on a battery. And then my filming camera, this is kind of my main vlogging camera, if you will, the Canon 6D Mark II. A nice full frame DSLR camera, dual pixel autofocus. It's actually one of the best values, I think, for filming. It has to be the best value. $1,500 Canadian I paid for this thing. A full frame camera with, can shoot 1080p, no 4K, but 60 frames per second. Just a beautiful camera all around and shoots great video. I'll also use this for photography with those lenses that I mentioned. Okay, I'll put the DSLRs back in here, and I'll complete the picture with the stuff that I'm gonna be putting in Ashley's camera bag. There's some key components in there that just don't fit in this bag. So over here, she's gonna kill me for taking this all apart. Over here is her main DSLR camera. That is the 7D Mark II. We do a lot of bird photography, so if you know that realm of photography, you'll know that 7D Mark II is a great camera for that. APS-C size sensor, but the fast shutter speed. Ashley's bringing her 400mm f5.6 Canon lens, and this is primarily for birds because there are going to be some tropical birds on the island, so it's nice to have a lens like this. Whether I use this for astrophotography, I'm not so sure. It's a bit heavy using this mount on the Star Adventure. It's a bit heavy for that, so probably just use this one for birds, but nice to have it in the way. Over here, now this is an important lens to bring, and it is probably one of my favorite lenses overall, not for astrophotography so much, but for filming and for just a walk around lens, the Canon EF 24-105 f4. This is just a great lens. So using it with the 6D Mark II, it's got that continuous autofocus. So if I'm shooting video, it stays focused, whether I shoot it at 24 or 105 or anywhere in between, but it is an f4. So that's where I think the 135 Rokinon's got it beat. A little more reach, a little faster, but great for video. So this is like my go-to video lens. Next up, I just wanna show you the kind of the decision-making process that why I chose to bring the lenses that I did. I'm gonna hop into Stellarium and show you what the night sky is gonna look like from where I am, what the light pollution level is like, what my plans are, and the field of view I can expect to achieve using the gear I have in the location where I'm going to. Here's what some of the planning looks like when you're going into a trip and you want to do some astrophotography. So these are some of the things I look at before going, and I've kind of learned this the hard way through a few trips like this, but I feel like I'm ready this time. So here is Google Maps of the island we're going to. It is St. Lucia. So in the Caribbean, it's gonna be, 5.5 hour flight. Planning and packing aside what we want to bring, you got to think about the location and what the night sky is going to look like from there. So here we are in St. Lucia, and where our resort is actually on the very southern end of the island, actually really close to the airport. If there's planes coming in and out constantly, that could be a problem for astrophotography, but I really don't think it's going to be that busy. Our resort is down here, right in the southern end. What I can see from here is that I'm going to be looking east and south. South is big. When you're in the northern hemisphere, all of the great targets are in the south. So I'm going to get a glimpse of the southern hemisphere targets, but they're all going to be low to the south. So a flat horizon to the south is very important. So if I zoom into the resort here, this is the resort we're staying at, I see that if I go out at night and walk along the beach, if I continue up this way, I should be able to kind of get a better lower view looking south and also looking east. So southeast is a great direction to be shooting in because you can track your target as it rises above the ocean. Now the next thing to look at is the light pollution, to see if there's any local light pollution that I'm gonna have to deal with. And there certainly is. So unless I'm shooting from Mount Gimme, the dark section in the middle of the island here, I'm gonna have some local light pollution to deal with. And unfortunately, where we are, it looks like one of the brighter areas down because it's near the airport and civilization. So I'm gonna be shooting through that towards the blue zone, towards the dark ocean. But that being said, at least we're not in this popular area of the island, Castries at the top here. It looks even worse. So could be worse, but some local light pollution to deal with. I'm just looking at the lightpollutionmap.info website. That's why I'm bringing along that light pollution filter, just in case that helps shoot through the local light pollution here at the resort. Next up, we want to look at stellarium. So first of all, what objects are in the night sky, and to see if the camera lens and sensor I'm bringing is a good fit to shoot the kind of targets that I want. Right away, you'll notice I have it set here to the location for St. Lucia, 14 degrees north. I did want to show you where Polaris is going to be. Where the heck is it? Let's look north. So there's Polaris there, sitting very low in the sky. So in my experience at Costa Rica, it was so low that it was hard to see over the resort. So hopefully I find a good spot on the beach where I can polar align with Polaris, but it's gonna be very tricky. I was so excited to see what deep sky objects, new deep sky objects in the south that are gonna be available to me here. Still in the northern hemisphere, but we get a taste of all those cool objects that people in the south get. None more exciting than the Carina Nebula. So here it is here. What is this? 1:23 in the morning. If you can imagine me on the beach by myself in the dark at 1:23. We'll see. Still quite low in the sky. Even we get the large Magellanic Cloud. You can't shoot it, but it's still gonna be there. Where did I see it? There it is there. Look at how low it is, just over the horizon. Tarantula Nebula. So won't be able to get those, but kind of cool to see that they're above the horizon from here. So as we play this along, so that's good to know that we can actually shoot the Carina Nebula if I stay up late enough. Lastly, so I have it set in the image sensor mode here of the scale that I'll get with that 135mm lens and my Canon 60DA. So if we go back to the Carina Nebula, look at all those satellites, holy smokes. Wow. You'll see that it is a great fit for massively large nebulae targets like this. I'll get the whole thing, I'll get the wishing well cluster apparently in the field of view as well. It's just a great field of view, and I get that compact size and fast speed, so I really think that Rokinon F2 135 is a great choice for this trip. Who knows what I shoot, but I should have a lot of great targets available at that focal length. I'm pretty stoked with my choices here. So hopefully this was useful to you if you're planning an astrophotography trip coming up, especially if you're going down south and you get some new southern targets. It can be very exciting. So hopefully you enjoyed seeing what was in my camera bag, and probably the next time you'll see me will be in St. Lucia, and I'm hoping to do a video there if I can sneak away for a little while. Clear skies. Yeah?
Did you open my camera bag?
No?